Let me ask you to please be seated. I'm Cesar Rodriguez, former United States Congressman for the 28th Congressional District and for the 23rd Congressional District. So welcome to each and every one of you. Before we get started, I want you to make sure that we take into consideration the candidates that are here, and I want you to be respectful. Some of you might have your favorites already, and that's okay, but I want you to please respect each and every one of them that are here and that have taken the time to be here and that have taken the time to decide that they want to become our next mayor. And as we all know that whoever does become our next mayor, no one can do this on their own. No individual candidate can pull it off without the support of the community. And activities such as this show me that more than ever, because you're the ones, some of you that I've seen and can see have been the ones that have been active out there making it happen, the ones that helped me all along in some of my campaigns, that without your effort I wouldn't have been able to represent the communities that I did. Whether it was on the school board for 12 years, on the Texas House for 12 years, or the United States Congress for 12 years, or as a judge. So having said that, public office is something where you take the step and decide to move forward. I just want to share, because one of the things that sometimes really hurts, most people run one time and never run again. And so I'm saying that to all the members that are here. Don't assume that every election is the same. They're all different. And if you look at it, the great people that have been there and the presidents that have been there have been the ones that have lost at least one election or two. The ones that sometimes, and I'm stereotyping, and the ones that sometimes tend to be a little bit arrogant are the ones that have never lost an election. Coming from someone who lost for as a school board member and then won, lost as a state rep and then won, lost as a congressman and won and lost. Let me take this opportunity first of all to ask for, I'm going to go with a prayer first. Do we have Henry Rodriguez, who's a known activist here, that's going to say the prayer, and as he comes forward, nothing better reminds me of, as I introduce him, there's a little story of the Bible, and I promise not to be long, but and it's an ancient story that talks about Cain and Abel, where Cain asks to the Lord and says, am I a keeper to my brother? And so as I look, am I my brother's keeper? As I look at Henry and a lot of you out there, you've actually been living that life. And now more than ever, we need that effort to continue.
How about a great big hand for Congressman Cesar Rodriguez? I see him and I see a lot of history, way back, beautiful history. Well, I'm part of the agenda, I guess, but ladies and gentlemen, if we want good government, we elect good people, right? And there's some great people here that I can see. I mean, and it's honorable, and I commend them for wanting to run and wanting to serve. Cesar Chavez said, grant me courage to serve others, for in service there is true life. So that's now, all we can do is give it all we have for the one that we choose, okay? And that's what we are going to do, and that's why we're here. And I want them to be cognizant that when whoever becomes mayor, it's a big city, the 7th largest in the country. It doesn't seem like it because we're laid back, but nevertheless, that they never forget that there's 10 councils, 10 districts, And then there are some areas that have been neglected for many years. We need for them to be cognizant that they have to represent everybody and do for every sector of town. And I know they won't feel insulted if we say, yeah, we'll call you out if you don't. They cannot feel insulted because that's why they put themselves on the line. So ladies and gentlemen, please rise for this is our LULAC prayer. And it goes like this. Almighty God, who has given us this great land for our heritage, we kindly beseech thee that we may prove ourselves a people that do your favor and are willing to do thy will. Bless our land with honorable industry, sound learning and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion into one united people, the multitudes brought hither out of many kindred and tongues. Imbue with the Spirit of God, with the Spirit of wisdom, those to whom in thy name we entrust the authority of government, that there may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to thy law we may show forth thy praise among the nations of the earth. In the time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, but in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust indeed to fail. All of which we ask through Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Thank you very much. I want to introduce the individual that was also selected by the president as to head the selective service, Larry Romo, a great advocate for our veterans also.
All right, thank you. Could I please have all the veterans stand real quick, like the veterans? Thank you. And could I have the family members of veterans stand up, please? Family members of veterans also. And remain standing. So thank you for your service. Now everybody stand up because we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And there's a flag there in front table there, so please look at the flag here on the table. The little flag on the table there by John Courage there. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Congressman Rodriguez is going to have the honor to introduce Laura Chavez Thompson. Here, Congressman.
As the Executive Vice President Emeritus, Linda Chavez Thompson. Mrs. Labor, okay?
Que viva Ciro Rodriguez. I didn't hear you. Wait, I have to say the, por favor. Que viva Ciro Rodriguez. Now that I like. That I like. Thank you so much, Congressman. You have been someone that San Antonio can never say enough thank you for what you've done, for who you are, and for the fact that you are here today talking to all these sisters and brothers, because we are all sisters and brothers, whether we're in the union or whether you're going to kick somebody around. No, I didn't say that. We here in San Antonio have many symbols of who we are, what we do, how we do it, etc. But if there is one thing, if there's one thing that we do, is that we love ourselves, we love the work that we do, we love the people who are in office, and this man has paid enough, and we want you to keep on paying, okay? And but I want to say just a few more words, because I know there's others here that deserve the right to say more than I have. I started out in the labor movement in 1967. I will confess today that I have passed my 80th birthday. You can applaud. Because I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, you don't look like you're 80, Linda. Thank you. Thank you so much. But I don't have a speech. I don't have a speech. But I have seen faces of friends friends for so many years that I have been here in San Antonio when I moved here in 1961. And since then, it's been my home, you've been my family, and I cannot tell you how much I deserve to be here with you, because if it were not you, it would not be me. And then you would shut me up, okay? Not before, because that is my motto, mouth of the South, and it's going to continue until they put me 6 feet under, and not before. Que viva Ciro Rodriguez! Que viva Ciro Rodriguez!
Thank you very much. I think they got you. Let me have the seating arrangement here. Right there. Okay, very good. Let me read the process we're going to be taking to make this happen. And I know that all of you are here, not to hear anybody else but the candidates. So let me quickly indicate to you, before I forgot to recognize the groups as a moderator that have allowed to make this happen. Nothing occurs by accident. When you see a little park, somebody worked their tail off to make it happen. This event is no different. And I want to thank the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, for their efforts. Let's hear it for LULAC. I want to thank the Bexar County Gun Safety Coalition. Give it. The Labor Council for Latin American Advancement. The D2CAN Community Action Network. And let's give a great applause to the San Antonio Professional Firefighters Association. Having said that, each candidate will be having 2 minutes for opening comments to introduce yourselves. There will be hopefully at least 5 and not 7 questions that will be asked. I will indicate if we're on time, you'll have 2 minutes. If not, I'll reduce it to 1. Each candidate will have 1 minute in closing comments at the end. We have a timekeeper. These young ladies here. When you see the 30-second, that means start angling towards finishing up, and then you see a stop, okay? And so hopefully we'll just go very smoothly on that, okay? And I'm understanding that we do randomly the order of the candidates will answer the questions and also in the way that they're seated. I will start with number 1 in one corner, and I will go all the way across. When I get to the end, that person at the end or either side will then get after they respond to that first question, will get the next question, and vice versa as we go across. And so I'll ask you to please stay to your time, and to the audience one more time, be respectful. Now more than ever, we need to listen and to hear out, and so that's going to be extremely important, okay?
Hold the mic down for 3 seconds if it's on or if it's on.
So I'm going to start with Melissa Cabello Abarta. Okay. And you have 2 minutes. Opening comments.
All right. Well, good evening. I'm going to tell you 3 things about me. First, I'm going to tell you who I am. Number 2, I'm going to tell you what makes me different. And lastly, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you as your mayor. Who I am and where I come from is a very San Antonio story. My mother went to Fox Tech. My father went to Lanier. So the Chili Bowl was a little tricky for us, right? But my father, during the Vietnam era, joined the Army. They were high school graduates. My grandparents didn't graduate from high school at all. My father learned communication skills in the Army, came back and had a 30-year career with what was then Southwestern Bell, now AT&T. He was CWA. My mother was a civil servant at Kelly. She was AFGE. And that afforded me the opportunity to have a good education. I'm an attorney, I'm your councilwoman, and that was my family's trajectory out of poverty. So that is very San Antonio. There's nothing more San Antonio than that. Secondly, I'm going to tell you what makes me different. Y'all know me, you know I'm a fighter. You have seen me stand on the City Hall steps and fight for a fair contract for our firefighters. You've seen me fight the city itself to make sure you didn't have a CPS rate increase this last time. You've seen me fight to make sure that Sabeda was intact for our minority and women-owned businesses. And you've seen me fight more recently and really the state, but to find funding to make sure that young women, all women, trans men as well, are able to travel to get an abortion because they can't get one here. Finally, I'm going to tell you, thank you. Finally, I'm going to tell you, was that 30 seconds? What I'm going to continue to do for you. I'm running on 3 pillars. 1, City Hall should work for you. 2nd, you should feel safe in your own neighborhoods, your own communities. Lastly, we need to bring opportunity right here at home. I'm going to close by thanking our firefighters for allowing us to use the hall, and I look forward to continuing to serve you as your mayor. And thank you all, and I look forward to the dialogue. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Christopher Herring. On the ballot, I'll be Chris Herring, Sweet 16. Remember that. So I grew up in upstate New York, right outside of West Point. And I grew up in the city called Newburgh, New York. Newburgh, New York was the poverty capital for New York State, and it is the poverty capital for New York State. I was thankful my parents moved from North Carolina and relocated to New York because that's where we saw government jobs. And in fact, my father, he ended up being the West Point superintendent for the cadet store. And he got a chance to introduce me to what the military way of life was. And so my escape from a poverty trap was going into the United States Air Force. I went to college at Boston University. And there I just saw everything that I really wanted in life, which was to be a leader of people. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who we have our march after, actually went to Boston University. So I was able to study his papers. I was able to learn more about what it is to be an American and be challenged as an American. And I think today, when I think about this opportunity, retiring after 20 years in the United States Air Force, I made San Antonio my home in 2006. And since then, I've been involved on every side of the city. I was on the West San Antonio Chamber Commerce Board. I served as the Alamo City Black Chamber of Commerce president. Today, I'm the executive director for Global Chamber San Antonio. I believe in business, and I also know that this city needs to have a business champion, and I am that champion. I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to take any credit for what the folks up here say they have done. I just know that we are in a poverty situation, and you need a leader who you could believe in. I've worked so much with so many of you over the years. I want to be your mayor, and I'm sincere that this is all about servant leadership, and I want to bring that to San Antonio. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, San Antonio, LULAC, ¿cómo están? ¿Bien? No los escucho, ¿cómo están? ¿Todo bien? Eso. My name is Beto Altamirano, and I'm running for mayor of San Antonio. I'm a proud son of immigrants that came to the United States for a better life. My father was deported when I was 17 years old, and that sent me on a trajectory of self-discovery, but also learning about how policy, laws shape and impact our everyday lives. I worked in the Texas House of Representatives, in the U.S. Senate, in the White House, and then over a decade ago, I chose San Antonio to start my company, and start my family, and build community with all of you here tonight. And I want our children and grandchildren to choose San Antonio first. But we're facing generational challenges that require generational change. The issues of generational disinvestment on the West Side, the lack of infrastructure, the child care, the good paying jobs, all of that we translated into a policy framework that we call Plan 210, focusing on infrastructure, on economic opportunity, and public safety. My vision for San Antonio is taking care of the immediate needs, the broken infrastructure, the safe neighborhoods, but it's also building a future grounded on economic opportunity, inclusivity, and innovation for every San Antonian. Thank you so much, LULAC, for having us tonight.
Good evening. I'm John Courage, and I think many of you know me. I know many of you. We've worked together for a long time in this community. I came here 54 years ago. I joined the Air Force. I served proudly with several of you who are in the military and have served this country. That was my first commitment to being part of my service, community service, public service. And since then, I've lived in this community. I married a local woman. We've had our children. We've raised our family in San Antonio, and I've seen it grow for over 50 years. And I've tried to be part of that growth. I've voted in every election in this city since 1976, whether it was municipal, whether it was national, and I think it's important to understand that you need to be involved in this community and you need to step forward and do something, and that means vote. I was a teacher in San Antonio for 25 years in the San Antonio Independent School District, as well as Holy Spirit Catholic School and Little Flower Catholic School. As a teacher, you are committed to the community and to the children in this community. And I think that's part of that public service I've been doing. For the last 8 years, I've been on the city council. And I've been committed to the people in the entire community. A council person elected in one part of the city is not just a council person for that part of the city. You are a council person for the entire city, because every decision I've made downtown at City Hall in the last 8 years, one way or another, affect the lives of all of us. But I've been able to make those decisions because I've had the knowledge, the understanding, the insight, and the experience to make those decisions. The next mayor of San Antonio needs to have those ingredients. They can't simply say, I have an idea. You need to understand how city government works and how it works for you.
Well, howdy, I'm Clayton Perry, and let me give you a little bit of my background. I was born and raised right here in Texas in a little town called Giddings. Went to A&M, graduated, went right into the Air Force, spent 21 years in the Air Force as a civil engineer, retired as a lieutenant colonel, and then I went to work for a large engineering construction business and became a vice president in that business. And then I took a little bit of time off, but then I went and ran for city council. But how did I get to that point at city council? Well, I started at grassroots. When I got here in 1991, I started in my HOA. I volunteered, and lo and behold, they elected me to the board. Then before I got into the Northeast Neighborhood Alliance, which is 90 different organizations, housing organizations, in one organization. And I was a secretary and treasurer for that. Through all of that, plus being involved in several city boards and commissions, I got into the city bureaucracy. I learned the people. I learned how things got done. And I worked with the city downtown. So that's why I got into city politics in running for city council, for District 10. My predecessor said, hey, Clayton, you check all the boxes. You're retired military. Here in Military City, USA, you're the right fit for that. So I ran, I won 3 terms, and now I'm ready for mayor with that experience and common sense leadership. That's what I bring to the table. Thank you.
San Antonio, welcome to District 8. I'm the city councilman for District 8. Me llamo Manny Peláez. Soy hijo de migrantes. Soy papá de familia Max y Sofía, un par de teenagers. Soy esposo de Diana, una maestra de escuela pública enfocada en enseñanza a niños de especialidades diferentes y de necesidades diferentes. Soy abogado, represento a familias, represento a vecindarios, represento a organizaciones sin ánimo de lucro. And you know what? I speak Spanish, damn it. And to me, DEI is not a dirty word. Why do I start there? Because in District 8, when people think, District 8, no, well, this is the area of UTSA, USAA, Fiesta, Texas, Medical Center, right? No, amigos. This is where Nightingale apartments are. This is where Park at 3830 is. This is where the Baltasar is. These are the newest low-income apartment complexes that my team and I worked on, that we approved. And there are 2,500 San Antonians living in these apartments in District 8. Up here in District 8, we don't let NIMBY kick people out. These are apartments in San Antonio that I invite you to come visit with me one day. We're very proud of them. They're full of Persians, Filipinos, Venezolanos, Colombianos, Bolivianos, Mexicanos, full of veterans, first-year teachers and nurses. And you know what? We call all those people, call them familia, we call them vecinos, we call them San Antonians, right? That's my District 8. That's what we've been fighting for forever. And when District 8 says DEI, we do it for real, because there's nothing dirty about diversity, equity, or inclusion. The synonyms for that are access, civil rights, and opportunity. And that's what we do in District 8. That's what we've been doing for District 8s for the past 8 years. And we're going to talk about what I'll be doing for you as your mayor. We're going to be taking all the spirit of what I've been talking about, and we're going to take it into the future.
The next two candidates came in. I think after I started, you have 2 minutes to tell us why you're running, okay?
First of all, thank you for having me here this evening. My name is James J. Melvin. So vote J in May. That's easy to remember for everybody. So thank you for the applause. I've been in San Antonio for over 15 years. Guys, I've done anything from volunteered at assisted living to getting up when I learned how to make breakfast tacos, going downtown to feed the homeless. And I actually ate a couple of them on my own on the way there. Also, I was in the United States Navy, where I served in California. I was aboard the USS Tarawa. We was an Uber for the Marines. And then my brother got hit by a car, so I moved back to Georgia for a while to make sure he graduated. While there, I worked at an aviation plant. I was only 22 years old. And started out just like everybody else. And then I had people come knock on my door because they built me an office on the manufacturing floor. And to make a long story short, they came to ask me to run for union president. So at the age of 23, I became union president, and every quarter I went to Washington, D.C. to lobby for workers' rights and to fight for people just like you who are hardworking citizens of San Antonio. I represent the haves and the have-nots. I believe in the San Antonio dream. And the San Antonio dream to me is that every citizen should have the ability to have food and clothing and shelter. Every citizen of San Antonio should become a pillar of society. Every citizen of San Antonio should be protected by our police department and served by our fire department. So it doesn't take being an attorney to be mayor. It doesn't take being a previous city council member. It doesn't take being a military veteran. But what it does take is someone who loves the people and someone who serves the people. And that's me. Vote J in May.
Hola, hi everyone. Yo soy la doctora Adriana Rocha García y estoy corriendo para alcaldesa de San Antonio. I'm happy to be here today and honored to represent the city that I love on the city council in District 4 right now. I was born on the west side of San Antonio on Leal Street, right next to Farias Park, and I moved over to the southwest part of town eventually when, after my parents were evicted, spent a little time on the east side, spent a little time living with some family members. While we saved up some money for a house, we went over to Indian Creek. So I grew up in one of the areas with the most crime in San Antonio, and I worked hard. My work ethic has gotten me here. I've always worked 2 jobs, just like I did even when I was in high school, and eventually I made it all the way to the University of Texas at Austin and got a PhD. I've been serving, gracias. I've been serving on the city council for 6 years, and I've been working hard those 6 years. COVID landed at Lackland Air Force Base. I didn't know what the novel coronavirus was at the time, but we fought hard to make sure that there was vaccines on the south side. Whether you wanted the vaccine or not, you were going to have access to it. That was critical. A few months later, practically, the Southside Hospital that we all knew as Southwest General shut down. So we immediately went to work to make sure that there was a plan. And luckily, my council colleagues at my lead helped pass $600,000 worth of investment in the community health equity for South Texas. Very happy about that as well. And then there was 53 migrants that passed away in the back of an 18-wheeler. That was in District 4. I showed everybody that there was compassion in San Antonio. I've been representing you. I want to continue representing you. The 3 pillars that I want to focus on are healthcare, economic empowerment through education, and housing, because we all need housing. And I'm number 11 on the ballot. Adriana Rocha Garcia.
And just stay with the way we ordered for the last 2 is that the next question will go to the last person, to Adriana Rocha Garcia, and the question, and then we'll follow the same process. You'll hand it over, and it worked out real well the first time, and I didn't have to do anything, so that will be great, okay, if it keeps doing that. So the next question, so everybody listen up, because I'd like to just read it one time. What 2 things about you make you a stronger candidate than the other candidates? And there's 27, so why should anyone select you out of the 27? And we start.
I'm one of you. Soy una de ustedes. Soy hija del barrio. I have worked hard like you all. My parents only have a 1st and 2nd grade education from Mexico, yet I have a PhD. Everybody can do it. I received tenure at Our Lady of the Lake University. Not very many Latinas receive tenure from a university. So it's critical to continue focusing on education. I told you about the little things that I had done during my tenure as your councilwoman. I didn't tell you that during my tenure as Housing Trust President, the past 3 years, we have built more than 7,000 affordable housing units all across San Antonio. And when it comes to economic development, we had more than $1 billion come to District 4 in 6 months, creating more than 1,500 jobs. And we continue building today. What makes me different is that I can collaborate. I can get 6 votes on the council. That's what it's going to take. I told you that I drew ballot number 11. The mayor, according to the city charter, is the 11th seat on the council. The mayor does not have a bigger role. The mayor's role is to round up the colleagues and make sure that we represent you all collectively. That is why it's critical to have someone who can go to work for you on day 1. Someone who has the experience, who knows what it's like to budget during tough times. And I, like I said, have experienced a lot of the same things that you have experienced. Like I said, I grew up in Indian Creek. I know what it's like to have drive-by shootings every day. Every time there was shots, I was on the floor. I probably called the police more than anybody on that dais because of that. Again, I am one of you, and I am asking for your vote. I'm Adriana Rocha Garcia.
Vote J in May. All right, so 2 things that set me apart. Number 1, I've been leading people twice my age since I was 22. I was elected and drafted to move to Austin for 3 years during my stay here in San Antonio. My job was, I was hired by a hotel group to go there to take 2 failing hotels. One ranked 157 out of 181, and I took that hotel to ranking 37 in the city. I increased their profit the very first year I was there by $800,000. The second hotel I took over was ranked 187. I took that hotel to the top 5 in Austin, which they thought was an unrecognizable feat. The reason why I share those things with you, because right now, no shot at our previous mayor or our previous council people, but we have $13 billion in debt. So in order for someone to come in, they got to know what takeovers are. And that's what I am. I'm a guy that comes in and trim the fat. I understand our subleases on our debt and how to navigate that debt so we can get rid of it. The other thing that I do is, unfortunately, our crimes here in San Antonio were ranked second in the state of Texas. Homicides, sex offenses, burglaries, car thefts. We're ranked second. So I have a very good relationship with the San Antonio Police Department and a very good relationship with the fire department. So I feel like, as your mayor, we'll have a plan. My plan for the crime is called Peace in the Streets Initiative. So I believe with that plan, I'll go into these 5 neighborhoods that promote most of the crime in San Antonio. We're going to put them on notice. We're going to let them know that you can live here in San Antonio, but the crime will cease and desist today. So I thank you. Vote J in May.
You asked for 2 things. All right. Number 1, you should know that all candidates have to go to the editorial board in front of the newspaper, and they ask you pretty much the same questions. And they started off their interview with me this week with, "Oye, Manny, you're kind of combative. Every once in a while, you throw some punches, you throw some swings, right? And sometimes you're a little bit too honest and you're rough with your words." And I said, "No, señores, no, señores." It's like, I'm ferocious. There's a difference, right? What I teach my daughter is, you don't let any bully push you around, right? Whenever you see somebody that needs help, you wrap that person with ferocious compassion. Whenever you see an injustice, you bring ferocious justice, and you remind people that if you see something, you say something, right? Whenever you see bigotry, and whenever you see racism, whenever you see discrimination and harassment, right? You can't meet that with, bueno, okay, well, let's get along. Let me figure out a way to negotiate with you to not be so terrible. Ferocious. You do something to my constituents, you're gonna meet Manny Peláez. But I'm also a guy with very high expectations. I believe that children do what children see. If you set low expectations for them, and then if you do small things, they're going to have low expectations, and they're going to deliver exactly what you show them, which is small things. I'm impatient. I am impatient for a San Antonio that could have been 20 years ago, and that needs to be now the most admired city in the United States for being the safest city, the smartest city, the strongest city, and the most authentic. I'm tired of waiting. I've listened to all the speeches. I really have. I love these people. They're good people. They're all coming at this with the best of intentions. I've just been uninspired. That's why I decided to run. I think San Antonio deserves excellence in absolutely everything it does, and it deserves ferocity in that excellence. Thank you.
All right, 2 things. Well, number 1, experience, and I've told you what my experience is. The next one is leadership, common sense leadership. Y'all probably remember me being on council for 6 years, and there were a lot of 10-to-1 votes. Who was that 1 vote? That was me, all right? Because there were a lot of votes that I did not agree with. You know why? It's because your tax dollars, you should be getting that return on investment. You should have better roads here in San Antonio. You should have lower taxes. You should have more police on the streets. Well, listen, I worked to get all those things done through council, even though I was a fiscal conservative. And yeah, you can say Clayton Perry, he was an odd man out on that council, but I got some things done. Number 1, is anybody in here own a home? You own a home? Well, you got a homestead exemption because I started working on that my first term. It took me 3 years to get it through this council. It took me 6 years to get 200 additional police officers on the streets. But my first year, I got the infrastructure budget doubled here in San Antonio to get us better streets. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. It's not enough policemen, and we need to fill our shortages, another 300 that we really need on the streets. And I'll get that done immediately, not spreading it over 5 years, because that's what's keeping us back is our crime and our infrastructure problems here in San Antonio. Thank you.
I think two reasons why you want to elect me as your mayor. Number one is because I've lived here and I've lived my life experiences with all of you. I care about every one of you. I care about your family. I care about your neighbors. I care about our community together. And I think that that's what we want to make sure the next mayor does. Cares about us individually and collectively, and is willing to make decisions that are going to benefit all of us. I've said before, I was just your neighbor on the city council. I'll be your neighbor as a mayor. I'll be the one who wants to advocate for what your needs are, what your community wants and expects. That's what I've done. That's what public service is all about. That should be the key for your next mayor. The other part, I think, that makes me a really good candidate, the best candidate, is integrity, is honesty, is willing to listen to you, understand what you have to say, take that into consideration when you make decisions, so that you know the decisions you're making isn't just your idea or a special interest idea, but it's the community's want and need. And that takes integrity and the willing to listen to the community and act in everybody's best interest. That's what I will do as your next mayor.
Hay muchas cosas que puedo decir, ¿no? Sobre las dos cosas principales que me definen a mí como persona. Pero yo creo que la número uno es que los escucho. Sé escuchar como un líder. I spent over 5 months on a listening tour, getting advice from many of you that are here today. And you advised me. You mentored me. You gave me and you inspired me. And you gave me an insight into the issues that were happening in each corner of the city of San Antonio. And also I learned about the challenges that LULAC was facing. When LULAC came to me and they needed office space, I let them borrow my space, my office space. And you meet there on a monthly basis. It's about getting things done, opening doors. And for me, learning about the issues is not just taking the word from someone, but it's finding solutions to those common issues that are experiencing here in San Antonio. And that's how I put together my policy plan. And I'm addressing issues like childcare. We're talking about the jobs of the future, talking about cybersecurity and bringing back the trades to high school. You know, the plumbing, the electricians, HVAC, good paying jobs. At the end of the day, la gente quiere un buen trabajo, ¿no? Pero al final del día, for me personally, right, I think another issue is that I value is my experience of being a small business owner, right? Of getting things done, of scaling a business. And my go-to market product in San Antonio was the 311 San Antonio product. We have addressed over 900,000 issues combined with the calls coming into the city of San Antonio. So when people ask me, well, Beto, have you fixed a pothole? We fixed over 50,000 potholes. But I had that experience of being an entrepreneur, of building the right teams, putting the right projects together, of bringing those executive skills to City Hall. And that's an experience that no one here on the 27 people running have as a tech entrepreneur, but more than anything, as a problem solver.
Okay, my name again is Chris Herring, number 16. What sets me apart? Two things. God, first of all, has given me the great opportunity to distinguish myself over a lifetime. I don't know many people who can say that I've served actually 3 presidents of the United States. I started out with Ronald Reagan at the Reagan Library. I ended up working the Homeland Security for George W. Bush. And then I ended up running in the White House as the White House Chair for One America, which is DEI, for President Bill Clinton. And they trusted me with big dreams, big ideas. And through my federal service, I learned that everyone has value. I don't speak Spanish, but I do support your community. LULAC, we just had your education banquet. My wife and I sponsored to that education banquet because we believe in the community. When I served on the West Side in the chamber, I learned the community. When I'm showing up at the Cesar Chavez marches, I believe in the community. And now, even as I look at my career, I served as a Texas Association for African American Chambers, the chairman. And I was going to battle with Governor Abbott. Governor Abbott knows me because black businesses were decimated under his leadership. And so have yours. When you think about all the experience up here, ask yourself, what have they done for your communities? When I travel to the south side, to the west side, to the east side, I don't see sidewalks. I see dogs. I see that your small businesses aren't being supported. I was the chairman of the Small Business Advocacy, and through my leadership in 2019, we earned as a city the best small business in the United States of America. That came under the leadership of Grace Rose Gonzalez and people who are on the SBAC that joined together. So I know how to lead people. That's who I am, and I stand up today saying, please vote for me. And Manny, be inspired. Some of you have been invited to every single forum, but I haven't, so be inspired.
Well, I'll start by saying I anticipate your needs in that I have already answered this question, right, in my opening. What makes me different is that I'm a fighter. I mentioned how I stood on the City Hall steps and I fought to make sure that there was a fair contract for our firefighters. And I called out the city attorney, and it was not popular. And the paper called me all kinds of ugly names. But you know what? We got a fair contract for our firefighters, and that's fight. That's real. There's no boundaries in real life, right? When somebody comes up to me and says, so sometimes they'll confuse me with other people on council, more Adriana, less John, but sometimes they'll say, hey, are you my councilwoman? And I say, sure, yes, of course I am. There's no boundaries in real life. You're never going to hear me say that's not my job. You're never going to hear me not collaborate with council members, not signing CCRs because they don't want somebody else to have a win. I'm always going to collaborate. I'm always going to work with you. I mentioned also CPS. I proposed a proposal a couple of years ago now to give some money back to CPS to mitigate a rate increase for us, to make sure we didn't have a rate increase for all of us. And again, everybody called me crazy, and I had to take a whole bunch of punches, but I'm little but I'm mighty, right? I took those hits, and now CPS just recently said that they're not going to ask us for a rate increase right now. You know they're going to ask one eventually, but right now they're not going to do it. So there's over and over, I've brought in policy proposals, and unanimously they get voted in at council. You're no longer the sole vote at Council Clayton. Because I fight, I didn't approve the city manager's $100,000 raise. We want to talk about return on investment. It did get approved, but I'm the only one that didn't vote for it. Return on investment isn't just monetary. Return on investment is for our people. Return on investment is making sure that our people are taken care of. I'm just really tired of saying we need to bring a table to the chair, a chair to the table. We need to have a seat at their table. It's our table. They need to come to our table, and that's what this is about. Thank you.
The second question, and this is a very specific question, but I want you to think about the problem that's presented here and respond to it as well as you can. And we go back to the far end. The question is, the Winston Apartments located on General McMullen have a substantial history of unhealthy living conditions, including many of the apartments being condemned. It has also been stated that the apartment managers forces their occupants to pay rent without providing receipts. What would you do to fix this issue as you see it? And let me just indicate to everybody here, as a former judge, and we have, I think, Judge Reese here from the Sylvia. I know she did evictions today. We're the courts in San Antonio, the 4 JPs now, this is the less number that we've ever had, deal with about over 100 evictions a week. A huge number, and this is way before COVID, so there's a lot of serious problems. So I would ask you to make any comments that you might in terms of how you might be able to be helpful as mayor.
So Winston Apartments is in my neighboring district. I'm in District 6, but I'll tell you that we had something similar at Westwood. Have y'all heard of Westwood Apartments? That's just as bad. And I've been going out there for years. I took the chief of police out there with me. The city manager's been out there with me. I'm talking over and over with the different owners of those apartments. I engaged our state rep. And finally, because of just nagging, just picking and nagging and getting after everybody, including I got the local business owners and the neighborhood around it to talk with me and go and fight for it. We are now repairing those apartments. They've been uninhabitable, just like Winston. They're just as bad as Winston. The crime was awful in those apartments. We have security now. I'm working on lighting. We're definitely looking at renovating the apartments, of course, making sure, and I also made sure, because the water got turned off there. That may have happened at Winston too, but the water got turned off there about a year ago because not the tenants, they were paying their bill, but the owners of the property were not paying the SAWS bill. So the tenants were the ones suffering. So we proposed policies at the city so that if your apartment owner doesn't pay the water bill, but you do, you shouldn't have to suffer. So we made sure right away we had places for everybody to go. It was only turned off for 3 hours, so not only, 3 hours is a long time without water, but luckily they didn't have to go somewhere else. So we really had to fight for that. So looking over at Winston, I have a model for it. I know exactly what to do now. I've been through the rigors of figuring out how to do it with Westwood. And part of it is getting community. We all have to stand up and fight together and make it known. And I know some of you really do. That's how I know about it. So I have a model to move forward with Winston, and number one, it involves getting everybody engaged, the state, the city, the neighborhood, the business leaders nearby, and getting those apartments renovated and habitable for our community. Because ultimately, it's up to to us to do that for our community and make sure that they're safe in their homes. Thank you.
Okay, I cannot talk to the issue of the Winston apartments. But I think that my response will be more along the lines of, I live in an apartment, so I understand about the landlord and the tenant relationship. And so as such, when things are wrong, you bring it to the appropriate management's attention. When I was in a home, I was a president for the Bluffview of Camino Real, the Homeowners Association. We had 444 homes in District 9, and I would invite the council members and the mayor who came to the HOA to speak to the people about the concerns that we had. So it's about management leadership and then bringing the proper leadership. What I have noticed, and I have complained about some of the business owners who've had issues across San Antonio, that when I call some of the council members, they don't pick up the phone, and they're not responsive. And I think that's the frustration that is really echoed in this question. So I'm going to be your mayor who's going to pick up the phone and make sure that I have a team of people who will pick up the phone and be responsive. Because this is like a systemic, generational issue. The phone is not being answered. And you're hearing people today say that, I have experience, but do they pick up the phone? Do they show up? Do they pull up? Do they address the issues of crime? Do they address the issues of generational issues of infrastructure? Because there's been no plan to this point, but we've seen raises in salaries. And all of you in here have been held hostage, and your families have. So if you want to go with what's old, then go with what's old. If you want something new, Chris Herring for mayor, number 16, Suite 16.
It's unacceptable, right? I mean, it's unacceptable for the conditions of these apartments to not have an HVAC, for example, leaks, have mold, and the landlords to not be proactive in fixing these issues. This is what we call slumlords. Look it up. Slumlords, that's what they are. And we need to hold them accountable. The city leadership needs to be proactive in holding these people accountable. And it doesn't mean just contacting your city council office, right? It means creating a system internally for the city where you can call 311 and report these slumlords, where you can actually report it on the 311 San Antonio mobile application as well. A system that gives you a ticket of when they're actually going to fix that issue. We cannot let the bureaucracy of our city, because look, we got a lot of jobs to be done at the city level. I don't blame anyone. But we have to create the conditions internally at the city of San Antonio to be proactive and take care of those people that are in need, so that they have a line to call, so that they have hope at the end of the day. Because if we don't create those conditions, these people are going to live there in those apartments for the next 5, 10 years, and no one will be held accountable. And I can recall talking to some people last summer in some apartments around the city of San Antonio that didn't have HVAC, that didn't have air conditioning. And they were telling, no, mijito, pues es que nadie me ayuda. Let's help those people.
Not everybody knows everything that goes on in city council. If you're on city council, you kind of learn some of the things we do. For example, we do go after bad actors, property owners who don't take care of their properties and don't take care of their tenants. We have a program now where if some organization, some apartment complex doesn't meet the expectations of their tenants and of the city as far as their safety, their welfare, paying their rent, taking care of that property, they get on a bad actors list. And we send out inspectors every month until they fix the problems. So if you're on council, you learn so much more about how the city really does work for you. Now, if it happens to you and where you live, you're going to feel that very personally. But what you don't understand is that your council and this council has been addressing those kinds of concerns and will continue to. Yes, call 311. But just so you know, the app that does 311 calls, this wonderful app that he's invented, it only takes 5% of the calls that go to 311. The other 95% come from you calling on your cell phone or complaining to your city council that'll report it to 311 for you. But we are working on those problems. You can call any council office and they'll tell you, we have a solution for that. We hold those property owners accountable. So keep letting us know what those concerns are. Keep calling our council offices. And what I've said is, a councilman for one district is a councilman for the whole city. So over the next 2 months, as long as I'm the councilman for District 9, if you have a problem and your councilman doesn't answer your call, you call my office, because we answer every call.
Well, thank you, John. If John wasn't going to say that, I was going to say that. Because yes, we did work on that very hard while I was on council, and we established some tighter criteria and more inspections and what have you by our code compliance to get out there and take care of those bad apples. Are all our apartment complexes bad? Absolutely not. There are some bad apples out there, and that's what we got to concentrate on, to get that code compliance inspector out there. But we're not going to know about it unless you say something. And if you don't get any action from your city council person, well then call another city council person. Just like John was saying, we all serve the entire city. And then if the city councilmen don't call or don't get back with you or don't take care of the problem, call the mayor. Dadgummit, you're paying him a lot of money. And he should be taking care of you as well. And I'm telling you, this is a bad problem here in San Antonio, but it's getting better because of some things that we instituted several years ago. And it doesn't get taken care of overnight, but it is getting better. And it will continue to get better. But you are the eyes and ears of your council office districts, and call them. Let them know that there is a problem. And like I said, keep spreading the word. Be that squeaky wheel. Be that squeaky wheel to the council folks and to the mayor. And I guarantee you, you will get action. If you don't get one council office, call. There's 10 council offices plus the mayor. You got plenty of opportunities to spread that word. So let them know. Let them know you need some help. Thank you.
So there's 250,000 apartments in San Antonio, okay? The overwhelming majority of them, they're clean, they're decent, they're safe. And yes, there are some that are absolutely terrible, where you wouldn't want your worst enemy to live. We had one of those in my district. We shut it down. See, the thing is you can take a 5-month tour and go listen to people, and you can then say, I have diagnosed the problem and I got a plan. Nice plan, bro, right? I actually sue landlords for a living. I sue landlords for a living. I make sure that when they hurt people, and believe me, they hurt people, right? That they actually pay what those people are owed. And by the way, the people that we represent are mostly poor people. They're abuelitas who are just on Social Security. They're single moms who are just trying to make ends meet. Now, these landlords, they're very, very good at cashing your check, right? But they're not good at actually doing what they need to do to make sure their properties are safe. Google the Aristo at Medical. Aristo at Medical. That's right down the street. And immediately, when we saw that there was a problem, we rushed, we wrapped these people in services, and you know who they are? Mostly Afghan refugees. Wrapped them in services, and I went out and I pulled the certificate of occupancy for this apartment. And by that I mean you are closed down. You're not allowed to charge rent anymore. You're not allowed to operate. You're done. Oh, the apartment owners in New York came in begging. No, give us a second chance. There's no second chance for human rights violations. And it's a human right to be able to live in a clean, safe, dignified place for your kids. You need a mayor who's actually done it. That doesn't just have a plan and says, you know what, that looks like it's a mess. Of course it's a mess. Not in District 8, it's not. Because we fix things up here.
Vote J in May. Guys, I don't have a lot to say about this topic because I've been in construction for the last 13 years. And I must admit, the city has done a fairly good job at that. You can call city code enforcement yourself. I know the numbers, 207-6000. Once again, 207-6000. I sound like an infomercial, right? But seriously, if you have any issues like that or you see anybody any issues, you call code enforcement. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that somebody lives in a place that needs attention. I've renovated many homes and many apartments that were failing and didn't have what they needed. And the only thing that happens when you close down an apartment that has issues, you just took the citizens that you work for and you displaced them and made them homeless. Now, if y'all don't get excited about that, something wrong with you. We don't need to make the problem worse. We need to go in and talk to those investors, talk to the apartments owners, and come up with a plan that keep these people housed. They got children that go to school. They got children that need to eat. We do not hurt people in the process. 207-6000, vote J in May.
Hi, I'm Adriana Rocha Garcia, and I'm the chair of the Planning and Community Development Committee. We, under my leadership, were able to pass the proactive apartment inspection that we're talking about here. And I'm very proud that our council voted in favor of our residents. Absolutely proud of our city. Thanks to the city council as well, we were able to vote on a Bill of Rights for tenants. People were upset. As a matter of fact, lobbyists still won't contribute to my campaign, and I'm proud of that. I upset very many people, but guess what? I made a lot more people happy and dignified in their housing. That's what it takes. It takes working together. Remember that I told you, it's not about one person. It's about working together with a team, and I'm very honored to be on the city council. There's a dashboard right now where you can look up the number of apartments. Right now, there's 39 apartments on the bad actors list that Councilman Courage mentioned. I am fortunate that in District 4, we have had the least number of apartments that have been on that list since we started the program in February. That's because I have been working previous to that to make sure that our landlords were responsible, that our tenants were taken care of. I have the highest number of families living in apartments than anybody else in the city. So my job is to make sure that those children grow up in a home where they feel safe and empowered and are able to do what they have to, which is learn and go to school. I am chair of the Municipal Utilities Committee. I am also looking at making sure that we don't disconnect people who do not have any fault. We are looking to see how we can hold the people responsible for these different apartments that take advantage of them. So again, please check out that dashboard. The Winston Apartments is on there since 5/3/24.
Thank you very much. The next question for the candidates is, San Antonio is a military city, USA. How will you ensure we take care of our military, including safeguarding missions at Camp Bullis, their families, our veterans, the Department of the DOD federal employees? And that's the question. 2 minutes.
I represent District 4, which houses Lackland Air Force Base. I see Guardians and Airmen there all the time, and I'm so proud of it. The young women and men who are the future of our communities are there. And it's my responsibility to make sure that they feel welcome, safe, protected, and appreciated in Military City, USA. We have the opportunity to showcase San Antonio, to show that we have the opportunity for cybersecurity, for growth in the military and the defense industry, but more importantly, to take care of our veterans. The veterans that have served us, that have worked for us, the reason that we are here, the reason we enjoy our freedoms, we have to continue to represent them. Now, let's talk about the federal level. Since we're talking about this, I was very fortunate that I was able to work on a CCR with my colleague, Councilman Pelaez, to make sure that these displaced or future displaced federal employees have a place to call work. Because there's so many of them. There's 39,000 federal employees that every day are living in this uncertainty. As I've been block walking, I ran into this family. It was a single mom and her son. They are both federal employees. They don't know when the last day that they will have a job is. And guess what? They had just moved out and bought a home about a year and a half ago. They're terrified to lose it. We decided that it was time to act. Even though we didn't have numbers, we created the RAF program. And that's a federal talent program where we're gonna match up people with jobs that they are certified to do. We'll take advantage of some of the already created partnerships that Ready to Work has established, but we will, together, as a community, take care of those displaced employees that by no fault of their own, only the politics in Washington, are gonna be out of a job.
He already knows, vote J in May. Guys, I'm a Navy veteran, proudly served aboard the USS Tarawa, LHA-1. We were an Uber for the Marines. We took them into battle, and then we brought them back out. So veterans are very near and dear to my heart. My dad served 30 years in the Army, another 10 years in DC. So we love Military City. Actually, the bases here and the military account for $55 billion. That's at least what they're accounting for in 2024. So it's a group bringing in that kind of funds into San Antonio. They should never go unnoticed. We have over 150,000 veterans in San Antonio. There should never be a homeless veteran. Some of you guys were sleeping at night with your pajamas on and your long socks. I was in Port F. It was 17 degrees, scanning the horizon to make sure we were not in harm's way. So you get up in the morning and take care of your kids. So you get them off to school. Hoorah, who said that? So there you go, brother. So you can get them off to school so you can be sleeping safe at night. So as far as taking care of the military, that has to be top priority because they're the ones that sacrifice, miss birthdays, miss family reunions, miss births, whatever it is that they had to miss, they sacrificed to make sure that we were able to live safe. We were the police for the United States. So God bless everyone that served, every one of you that knows somebody that served, and I say, San Antonio, let's continue supporting them. Vote J in May.
Remember when I talked about ferocity? I think that the way to confront the challenges that veterans face in San Antonio is with ferocious gratitude. Larry Romo, Steve Price, you guys sacrificed everything. You put your lives on the line for us. Where's Steve? Where is he? Hey, Steve. And the one thing that we owe you, gentlemen, is an eternal gratitude for running towards the danger and for entering into a contract with all of us to do whatever it takes and be ferocious in the defense of our civil liberties, in defense of our rights, in defense of my babies. That means a lot. Not only do we owe you gratitude, but we also owe you an enormous apology. When many people come back from service abroad, they come back broken. We know that. And we don't do enough. Instead, we see them under bridges. We call them homeless. We ignore them. We say, Mira, just go to the shelter. It'll be okay, right? I don't want to see you in my neighborhoods. I think that we need to also not just meet them face on with gratitude, but we also need to recognize and team together with the people who are doing the good work. Ciro Rodriguez, when he was in Congress, served on Veterans Affairs and the Armed Services Committee, right, for many years. And he paved the way for people like myself and for everybody at this table to do the important things and pass to us the torch and said, guys, don't drop this. Don't screw it up. It's too important, right? Your next mayor has to be able to articulate what I just articulated and say the following words. We will never, ever allow our veterans to be forgotten in Military City. Ever.
Who all in here are veterans? Raise your hands. Thank y'all very much for your service. I appreciate it. And we should all appreciate our veterans. I'm not going to brag about my service. I'm proud of my service. 21 years in the Air Force, served, knew Larry many years ago down at Brooks. So anyway, that is so important for this city. We call ourselves Military City USA. But, you know, do we really do enough for our veterans? And I think there's more that we can do. Don't get me wrong, we're doing a lot for our veterans. We've got a number of different programs here at the city and the county level that provides training, education, and cross-training into civilian life. When I was on council, I was the chair of the Military Transformation Task Force, and we would look at these different programs and bring them on and recommend them to city council or to the county. And they would bring them on board to help veterans here in San Antonio, both that were here already or were getting ready to transition into civilian life. So we do have those programs. We are helping. You know, there's some folks out there, though, that need some little bit extra help. And that's what we need to concentrate on and give them those resources and give them the organizations that they can reach out to get those additional resources and help to get them on their feet. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, veterans are pretty resourceful. They did a lot with a little over their entire lifetime, along with their families, and that's what I want to recognize, the families also of military. They carry the load just as much. So I just want to say that there's things that we can do, but let's not forget the things that we're already doing today for our veterans and those that have retired from the military. Thank you.
You know, I almost have to reiterate what you've heard from these other people about what this city does as Military City USA to support our active duty members, their families, and the veterans. As a veteran, I've used some of the resources that have been available in this city, and I've helped others who needed help. I think all of us on council will go ahead and appoint somebody who will be our veteran representative. And when somebody has a need or a concern and they call our office, we plug them in with that vet who knows who to contact and how to help them out. There's a lot of organizations in San Antonio committed to veterans. don't ever fear that this city will not take care of its veterans or its military members or their families. But if you have an individual concern, if you have a family member you think isn't getting the help they need, then let us know and we'll make sure they get that help, because the help is here. We are committed to every veteran's family, every active duty soldier, and their family as well. You can count on that from our city government.
Veterans are not broken. Veterans are skilled. They're contributors to our society. They're talented folks that do a lot for our city. And if we are claiming to be Military City USA, we have to be more intentional about it. The city is already doing great work, but we can always do more. I know that we have the Veterans Advisory Commission. I want to continue nurturing that program. I spent the last 3 years learning about JBSA and learning about our military community through my work as a cybersecurity professional. There's 3 things that I think we can do more of for the city of San Antonio and the veterans in our city. One is jobs. And I applaud the efforts of Keta Rodriguez, who's in the room, who's doing that with 4Block. Thank you, Keta, for the work that you're doing with our veteran community. Thank you. In reskilling, upskilling, and getting young veterans up into the workforce of San Antonio in jobs like cybersecurity, bioscience. But we also have to do more for housing in San Antonio for veterans. And let's not forget healthcare. We need to support the mental health of our veterans in San Antonio. And lastly, our quality of life. We have Ross Hernandez in the crowd, who has the Coalition for Veterans and Families. Thank you, Ross, for the work that you're doing in San Antonio. And you are nurturing that, supporting the quality of life of the families in San Antonio. And as mayor, that's what you're supposed to do. Leverage the bully pulpit, leverage the microphone, and bring attention to the issues that our community, our veteran community, is experiencing. And from day one, I intend to do that. And yes, I highlighted 3, 4 issues that I think we should double down on to support our veteran community of San Antonio. Thank you.
Again, my name is Christopher Herring. I'm running for mayor. I probably have the most practical experience, work experience. I was the vice president for Goodwill for Workforce and stood up veteran resource centers. You may have seen a story in the La Prensa talking about the work we were doing. In fact, Keta Rodriguez is a person who I deeply supported and worked with to make sure that no veteran would be not helped with Bexar County. I also served with Texas State Representative Josie Garcia, who's doing a phenomenal job making landmark changes, helping veterans. And so we have a place in Austin who's helping us, and I have her ear. Also, I think that one of my initiatives as mayor would be to take every VFW and American Legion and to help to spruce their buildings up, because they're very neglected. And I'm a life member of the VFW 837. And so again, these are the types of things in which are so important, because veterans spend a lot of their time, for those who haven't served, in these places and the families in these places. And this is where you really have to revitalize the resources for veterans. And let me say this, mental health is something that's really disturbing. I actually helped in a protest because there was Damon Lamar Davis in 2020 who was gunned down and killed in his home because he had PTSD and he was hurting as a veteran. I can tell you firsthand, I had stage 4 cancer, and I had to wait between the Audie Murphy and the Dallas VA for a year to be able to see a doctor. So when I look at these cuts with the VA that are being proposed, I think that every veteran in the city should be protesting at Audie Murphy, because we need to make sure that we have quality care. You've never heard a veteran say that they have great care, outstanding care. We don't. And so we need your help. But this is what a mayor would say in Military Cities USA, that we cannot not serve those who served us. Thank you.
Our city historically was built around a river, on a river, And in modern times, I think that our city is built on the military. We don't claim to be Military City USA. We are Military City USA, trademarked and everything. And I'm really proud to represent District 6, partly because we have the highest number of veterans and active duty military in District 6, far west San Antonio. It all really kind of was born from the fact that Kelly was out there, and those really born our neighborhoods. I also represent currently Larry Romo, and I'm very grateful to represent him and to have his support. I've learned so much from him and all our veterans and representing our veterans to what they really need. Let's talk about BRAC, right? That's what happened to Kelly. Local support is what stops us from getting bases closed. The mayor, the city council, going to hearings, making sure that we're doing everything we can to support our military bases, including the roadways up. Have you been to Lackland lately? It's not great around there, right? You go in and out of these graduations, and we have to make sure that the roads going in, all the infrastructure around our bases. Now, talking about our veterans, we have to talk about the military spouses. They live all over the world, and then sometimes they get job licenses and they can't come to Texas and work. We need to be able to give them job portability. They need child care. They obviously need very, very, very strongly need mental health care. And I agree completely with Chris. We need to be out there fighting for our VA rights. I mean, the cuts that are coming to our VA could potentially be devastating to our city. We need housing. Operation Homefront can house a transitioning veteran up to 12 months. We need financial literacy. We need to make sure that everything that they do from the morning, the moment they get up to the morning, to the evening when they go to bed, that everything is assisting them. Everybody's there. We're helping them to do what they need to do. I mentioned my family. There's so much military in my family. It's part of our DNA. It's part of who we are as San Antonians. So I just want to make sure that we're always doing what we can, and I'm very grateful to represent a district where I've been able to do that for 6 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4, how would you push for economic development of the Frost Bank Center?
So I'll tell you how I did. We have an MOU. We're working on a memorandum of understanding between the Spurs, the county, and the city. You guys have probably heard about it. We were not really very involved. We as a full council were not involved in the makings of this MOU. So they come to us and they say, here you go, here's the MOU, approve it. And I said, hey, hold up here. We're just now seeing this. You want us to vote on this in a couple of days. Have we talked to the community? I haven't taken this MOU to a neighborhood association, but most importantly, the District 2 council member, the representative for the east side, has not been talked to. They haven't consulted that person. So a couple weeks ago on the dais, I made a motion to include our District 2 representative in those conversations. He's the east side representative, and you haven't talked to him yet? Seems pretty obvious, right? So thankfully, the majority of council saw fit to pass that motion. Our east side representative, as a matter of fact, we also included, Councilman Pelaez included District 1, the downtown representative. They should be included as well. And having that representative, because it's not him himself, he represents about 150,000 people. There's 150,000 people behind him who need that representation. And I'm glad to say now he is at the table, he's involved in those talks, and we're bringing it to community. We're gonna have a community engagement plan. Because of that fight, we're gonna be able to talk to you systematically about exactly what's happening and how it's going to happen with your input, not without it. We're not gonna move forward with this fast, we're gonna do it right.
And before you leave the mic, let me ask you a quick yes or no question. Those of us that were here during the COPs understand those questions. It's yes or no. Yeah. Do you support the use of tax dollars for the Project Marvel as it's currently proposed?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Next.
My experience with the AT&T Center, now the Frost Bank Center, was when I was the president of the Alamo City Chamber of Commerce and looked at the development on the east side. And I noticed that it's the only NBA location where the fans are actually escorted in and escorted out. Think about it. And when you think about the promises made by politicians who said that they had the best interests of the community, there was no promise that was ever delivered upon. And so I do believe that we need the Spurs, but we need to make sure we have a plan that works first before we even agree to moving the Spurs. And what I would put in the AT&T or the Frost building is I would line up actually a global supply chain type of center, one where we can actually increase the level of jobs in San Antonio, because Fortune 1000 companies don't want to come here. And we have to address that. And so we have to have a whole different slate of jobs in which we can provide. We have to have colleges that can teach new skills. I believe cyber is definitely a part of that, but I saw that during the COVID pandemic, we saw that the global supply chain was literally frozen. That center is near the 35 and 410, and we could do much more since we don't have a traditional port. Port San Antonio that we have is not a port. And so we suffer from an international trade and development perspective because we don't have a traditional port. So we need to look at how do we use that center, not for golf courses and not for what politicians want to do in their leisure, but we need to put it back for the people, because we need to have an increase of jobs that are outside of food services and doing something different.
Thank
so
you.
That's what I would do.
Do you support the use of the tax dollar for Project Marvel as it's currently proposed? Yes or no?
No. No.
When I think about the Frost Center and I think about the east side, I think about the generational disinvestment to the east side of San Antonio. The east side of San Antonio is hurting. And this question about the Frost Center, that's just one part of the equation. I mean, we heard about the Commissioner Culver talking about the cones when you leave the Frost Center and you don't get to see the rest of the east side. All of that, it's happening on a daily basis, right? But it's about also taking care of the economics of the east side. I think about the jobs of the east side. I think about the youth of the east side. The after-school programs that we need on the east side, the child care services that we need to support the young families that are taking that leg up in their career, starting their first jobs. That's what we need to look at before we invest in a fancy, stadium downtown. We need to look at that. We need to look at the basics, right? We need to look at how we're going to stimulate our economy. How are we going to help our healthcare system before we even entertain any of that? The other thing that I also want to look at is public participation. I really want to hear from the community about how they feel about this project. I want to host town halls, and I want to hear directly from you about how you feel about this Project Marvel and relocating the Spurs to downtown. It's exciting, I get it, right? And sports districts sound cool, and they're good. I get it. But before we do that, I agree with Melissa. We have to move not too fast. We cannot move too fast and break things. We have to move slow and make conscious decisions that are going to impact our economy and our people for the next 10, 15, 50 years.
Question, do you support the use of tax dollars for Project Marvel as it's currently proposed?
No, the use of no general funds. Yes, sir.
A lot of people kind of forget that the AT&T Center, first SBC Center, and later Frost Bank, was not a City of San Antonio project. It was a Bexar County project. And it was a mistake that Bexar County officials made. Now, they were duped. People said, well, we'll build this here and we'll put all kinds of things around it. But what they didn't think of is that all the property along that area that is owned by businesses, they didn't want to sell. They didn't want to sell so that you could put restaurants there or nightclubs or things like that. It turned out to be a big mistake. My commitment as a council member today and as a future mayor is that the city won't make that same mistake. What needs to be done is, if we're going to go ahead and see a basketball arena put downtown in the area that we're looking at right now as Project Marvel, then growth needs to pay for growth, not your tax dollars. What that means is the stadium needs to be paid for by the people who want to use it, and we need to see the development go on around that community before we turn one shovel of dirt over to build that arena so that we know the growth and development around there will help pay the cost for developing that. None of your tax dollars that you pay for your house and things of that nature should be used for this project. The same thing is for the baseball field. We've already got a commitment. They're going to start building commercial property around it before we ever turn a pile of dirt over to build that baseball field. That's the way the city should act on these issues, and I think that's what we will do as a council. But it isn't instantaneous. It is going to take a while to work out all the details, but we're in the process of doing that. You'll be hearing more about it.
And I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you support the use of tax dollars for the Project Marvel as it is
No, I think I've
currently
said that.
proposed?
I don't want any of your tax dollars going to Project Marvel.
Very good.
Well, let me tell you, I didn't know anything about this until I saw this article in the paper with these beautiful pictures. Y'all remember that? You know, that didn't happen overnight. Who was planning this? Where did it start at? Who was in the back room putting this together? Who paid for it? You know, I want to know who did all this stuff before it got to this point. We may never know. But I can tell you, that was the wrong way to do it. That was no transparency at all. And people ought to be asking that question. What happened? How did it get to this point without us knowing about it? Especially those communities that are affected. I tell you what, there's some hopping mad communities out there. The East Side, King William, everybody's mad about this thing. Primarily about parking and how it's going to affect them in their housing, right? Well, let me tell you, yes, Bexar County made a horrible mistake when they put it there and they agreed to give everything to the Spurs. You know, the county doesn't get a penny from that facility. And I tell you what, if the city goes into something like this, we better not be using tax dollars. And if we do, we better get a healthy return on investment back from the Spurs and from the owners. We don't want nothing. We want something out of that to get our money back, right? You know, these visions or these shiny things that you see coming out has got to stop. We got a $13 billion debt today that we can't pay off because of these shiny things. And on top of that, we got a $4 billion backlog of infrastructure here in this city. Roads, buildings, everything that the city owns. And where's that money going to come from? It doesn't come off trees. It doesn't fall out of the air. It comes out of your pockets, folks. So remember that when it comes down to vote for this thing, whether we're going to spend additional tax dollars on it. And that's not having a vision for San Antonio or a lack of vision. That's making sure your reality and making sure we don't break the bank again.
Okay, thank you. And I know you've answered it, but I'm going to ask
yeah,
you.
No,
okay,
no,
very
absolutely
good.
not.
Next.
In 1996, 1997 is when they started discussing the, what was then the SBC Center. Remember that? It was the SBC Center first. And they lied to us. How many of you feel they lied to us? Show of hands. They lied to us. Didn't they promise us that this was going to be a renaissance of the East Side, that there was going to be businesses and apartments and bars and restaurants and all that? I was there. I was studying at Trinity University, and I was watching, and I was hopeful. I fell for it, line and sinker. We all did. Those men are dead now. Those men are in nursing homes. They're no longer in office, and they're not here to apologize to you. But they owe us an apology, right? And everybody's mad because they lied to us, and we know it, and nobody has yet looked us in the eye and said they lied to us. No, I won't support Project Marvel as it's proposed right now. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier we handed out this document. It's something we announced today. I will never vote for Project Marvel unless two things are accomplished. One, a significant amount of that funding goes towards youth services like Pre-K for SA and schools and child care. And number two, unless it materially changes the lives and helps people in neighborhoods that aren't downtown and downtown. Police, fire, more ambulances. If Project Marvel doesn't accomplish those things, then I want nothing to do with it. And as your next mayor, we're going to make sure that if Project Marvel is a reality, we're going to enter into a contract with you. And I want LULAC's signature on that contract. I want COPS Metro's signature on that contract. The trade unions need to sign that contract. And we need to do something about making sure that nobody ever lies to us again. Anyway, go Spurs, go.
Vote J in May. Man, I'm a cowboy. I love riding horses. I enjoy just being the man of God that I am and the businessman that I am. But one thing I know is you don't put the cart before the horse, because you'll be going backwards. So a lot of people might ride on this thing that I say when we have $13 billion of debt, but you don't go unless you don't go and sell your home, or you don't go and buy a home, and you haven't sold the home you're in unless you're gonna rent it out. So this debt that we have, I think needs to be taken care of. I think Project Marvel has great potential, but it just needs to be delayed until we handle the debt. Now, when I look at the organizational chart for San Antonio, at the very top of the organizational chart for San Antonio, it says citizens or residents. And under that, it has mayor and city council. That means we work for you. So those are things that you approve. Those are things that you have to say. So we don't come and just get advice from you. You say yay or nay. So with knowing that we have debt, with knowing that there's people suffering in this city, with knowing there's homelessness, with knowing that we're ranked #2 in crime, with knowing that there's veterans laying and sleeping on the streets, with knowing that homeless people are downtown sleeping, think about that. We had, over $20-something million last year for the homelessness? Now we got $44 million this year on the budget for homeless. Why do we still have homelessness? And then one last thing. My company did the Andy Project right across from Coca-Cola and right across from the Frost Bank Center.
Thank you. Is that a no for Marvel or yes?
That's a no until we get things in line, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Next.
Thank you, and I'll start off by saying that I will not support it as is. One of the things that I think that we should consider is the displacement that's going to happen around the areas where we're looking at. So, of course, if we're looking at the Marvel area, we're considering the Marvel area, I believe that we should be focused on the people that live there now. How will we be able to support them so that they don't get priced out of their homes? How do we work together so that there's perhaps a housing bond that we can think of and be proactive about to support the folks in that area? Because I want people to be able to age in place. I want people to be able to afford their taxes. And I also want them to have the opportunity to enjoy some of these things like the unity and the spirit that Spurs bring us, but not at their own taxpayer backs. We have to absolutely get creative and figure out how we work with private investments and sponsorships. We keep talking about South Texas and about IH-35 and how we can connect business. Why not bring some of them to help with the funding of something like this? Now, the opportunities that would be generated from an economic project of this magnitude would be important for San Antonio. The hotel occupancy tax that would be created from the hotel that is being planned would also benefit some of our neighbors, because quite frankly, one of our studies that I was shown when I first came on council by the San Antonio Hotel and Lodging Association showed that the residents in District 4 worked in hotel jobs. Just a couple of days ago, I was leaving my parents' home. I'm on 2 hours of sleep, much like Beto. He has a baby he's raising, a newborn baby. I'm raising octogenarian parents right now. And so we're taking turns at night because my mom broke her hip. As I'm leaving at 6 a.m., getting ready to head over home to get ready, there was a carpool, and there were hotel workers. And again, just wanted to remind you that, no, I will not support it as is.
Thank you very much. And this is going to be our last question, and then you'll have 1 minute to close. And I'm going to probably just allow you 1 minute on this one. It says, given the cuts and changes at the federal level, from immigration to education to healthcare, what role do you think as mayor of the city of San Antonio that you can play in helping to address some of these issues?
We've been working together with different organizations. The organizations that are helping, for instance, are populations who are scared to just even go out onto the streets right now because they fear for deportation. We have to consider that we need to continue helping those organizations. In my district alone, right now, when you drive up and down the streets, there's so many DPS troopers. Never before have I seen that. It's unfortunate. People are scared. People have stopped going to small businesses because they are scared. The taquerias that have been packed before. I had one taqueria employee who I've known for many, many years say, no, ya me voy, mijita, ya no la voy a ver. Pero ¿por qué? Why are you leaving? And he says, porque aquí ya no me quieren. Usted sí es buena, ustedes sí, pero aquel hombre no. He said, we are good, but that gentleman isn't. So he's going back home. I don't want to lose any more neighbors who are working hard today for San Antonians to that.
Vote J in May. Guys, there's actually a company that you guys might be aware of. It's on Days of Allah. It's called Endeavors. I've reached out to Ben, who works at Endeavors, to set up a meeting with him. They do a lot in the community. They help people who are in need, just regular citizens. They also help veterans. And then, guys, for you guys who don't know, they have a migrant program where they've been helping for decades, helping migrants get transitioned. One way I feel we failed that system is we don't get them connected with who they need to get connected with to become viable citizens of San Antonio. So once we start teaching people to fish instead of giving them fish, then they can be pillars of society. So Endeavors is one avenue that we can use to help everyone. Vote J in May.
So let me tell you what's at stake. Our soul, our character of this country is at stake, right? These aren't just budget cuts. These are attacks directed at poor people, at women, at elderly folks, of people whose skin is my color, of people whose skin is your color. San Antonio is now faced with a choice as to which mayor they want. And I'm telling you right now, war has been declared upon San Antonio. Today we got a letter from FEMA, John, Melissa, Adriana, we got a letter from FEMA saying we might actually direct the criminal justice system at you council members for having housed migrants. I think the next mayor needs to be your wartime mayor. Not just a mayor that cheers for everybody and inspires people and says, come on, we can do this. But also a mayor who stands up to bullies. I am up to here. I've had it with tech bros and bigots and these racists and these horrible people in DC telling us how we should manage San Antonio. I'm sick of it. And somebody needs to stand up and say, no más. Because in San Antonio, we don't capitulate to bullies. That's the mayor I'm going to be.
You know, we don't know what the impacts are going to be. Yeah, there's a lot of layoffs going on. But you know where those layoffs are taking place? It's not here in San Antonio. It's not here in not at the federal government. It's at the federal government. We have a lot of organizations here in town that have a lot of vacancies, and they're going to be filling those vacancies with people that are being laid off. In fact, the city is already offering their vacancies to federal workers, which I think is great. That's what we need to be doing, is taking care of our own. What's happening up there in Washington, D.C., that's going to happen. But we can take care of our own here in San Antonio by offering those jobs, and I think that's already happening here. That's the right thing to do here in San Antonio, is taking care of our own. And, you know, what happens up there, we can't control that. So let's take care of San Antonio with San Antonians. Thank you.
The next mayor of San Antonio needs to fight for our city. But what are you going to do? Are you going to fight for your city too? Every one of you has a voice. Every one of you can write a letter or send an email or make a phone call, but not just one. We've got multiple members of Congress, multiple senators, multiple state legislators and state leaders who are doing the same thing, undermining public education, undermining health care, and trying to make enemies or make immigration seem to be some kind of evil thing that is ruining our country. We know better. We are all human beings. That's the one common thing we share. And if we base what we do together on being a human being and treating one another with that dignity, but calling it out when our leaders aren't doing that, then it's up to us to be part of that solution.
The next mayor needs to stand up for what is right, but also has to be smart enough to work within the system. And that means that we need to be proactive at the local level. It doesn't mean necessarily that we got to pick a fight with the president every day. We got to take care of our people first in San Antonio. And yes, stand up for what is right. But we got to prioritize the system of San Antonio. When we talk about DEI, how does that look like? It looks like protecting our LGBT community. It looks like protecting our immigrant community. It looks like protecting those that don't have a leg up in this economy. When giving contracts from the city, is prioritizing those that historically have not had the experience of working with the city, for example. It looks like those that want to enterprise in San Antonio, give them the opportunity. It looks like providing healthcare for those communities on the west side, south side, east side that don't have access to that. It looks like providing the infrastructure and the digital connectivity so that we can compete in the modern economy. Thank you.
I like your passion. That's good. No, really. You know, Manny said that we need someone that has wartime experience. I have that. I've served in combat. I've served in combat not only during 9/11, but after Desert Storm in Iraq. And what I know about combat is that this city is going to receive a lot of different blows. We received one today. Department of Education was being shut down under an executive order. And while I noticed in the audience was Governor Abbott, and so we may not be doing battle with the president directly, but we may have to address how do we do education different under Governor Abbott in Texas. I realize that that we all have different backgrounds and experiences, but I've been in combat dealing with fighting for small businesses in the city ever since I got here. I'm probably the only one standing here that got sued by a city contractor because I called them out and said that they weren't a part of the city. Our city council has been willing to change the beta, and they've done that, and it's no longer the same that we had before.
This president is dismantling our democracy. Thank you. That's right. We're not picking a fight with him. This fool picked a fight with us, and he doesn't know who we are. And don't say it's not happening in San Antonio. Just the other day, I met 2 people who got doged. They're losing jobs. The people we represent are losing jobs. We lost 200 students in Edgewood, and Edgewood is a tiny community, a tiny school district, because they're afraid of getting deported. They're afraid of going home to parents being gone. I went online, I'm an attorney, I went and gave Know Your Rights. I've been to forums and talking about this is what you need to be doing. I've been protesting. I've stood on the street with signs. I've done what we need to do, but we need to do more. We need to fight together. And I also want to make sure that we understand it's not just this president. Our government has been doing this to us for years. There's 206 bills that were filed against the LGBTQ plus community just this term. Yeah, so this is the fight, and I said it before, I'm the person to fight it. I've been fighting it. I will continue to fight.
And at this point, we'll start with the 1 minute closures. 1 minute to close.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So you're hearing a lot of folks up here say what we should be doing, what they want to be doing. What you've heard me say is what I have done. I have been doing the job that I want. I'm not just dressing for it, I'm doing the job I want. I've been fighting, I've been doing what I need to do to make sure I'm representing not just my beautiful community of District 6 where I grew up, but this entire city. Remember, I'm running under 3 pillars. City Hall should work for you. Our neighborhoods should be safe for us all, and we should create opportunities right here at home. I have more on my platform, Melissa for SA, but remember that we need somebody who's not just talking about fighting, we need somebody who has proven that they will fight for you. Thank you. God bless you.
I want to thank each of you for coming out today. Your investment in this democracy is important in San Antonio. I would like to address and just say I have some great supporters. Stella Bustos with Knee Back Pillow. She asked my wife and I to advocate because she was been trying for at least 12 years to get a contract, a small business contract with VIA. Still hasn't been able to do it, but we're still going to fight with you. Laura Thompson, that was my boss. I was her chief of staff as she worked at the Texas State Representatives, and so thank you for being my best supporter. My wife, Teresa, she's just so benevolent, loving, kind, and I'd like to thank you publicly for being all that you are. Nika has been doing small business support, and actually she probably has enrolled at least 100 veteran-owned businesses through the 2-step process where veterans can get free business LLCs. So if you need that and you're a veteran, see her. But Jason, thank you for coming out. And that's all I can say is thank you for those who have been supportive of me, because this is what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been reflecting a lot about why San Antonio. Last week, my first child was born. And I think a lot about that. I think about how I'm choosing to call this place home. This is my city. I'm not going anywhere. And in the process of choosing this city, I know that we're facing a lot of challenges. There's a lot of growth happening as well. But I chose this city because of its gente, su identidad, su cultura tan rica, su gente. Y eso es lo que a mí me apasiona de San Antonio. Y es lo que tenemos que proteger. But we're only going to do that together. Together in this room, you showing up means a lot. Is that you care about the future of the city. And you must remain civically engaged. It's not going to be up for the mayor or the city council to define the future of the city. It's going to be up to all of us in this room to put the pressure, demand action, and build a better future together. You can learn more about my platform at betoformayor.com. Thank you so much, San Antonio.
I'm reminded of a phrase I've heard before. He who bloweth not his own horn hears not its sweet sound. And I think we've heard a lot of people blowing their own horns today. I did this, I did that, I accomplished this, I was part of that. So much of what they plan to do. But the next mayor needs to have the experience and the understanding of how to make city work for all of us. The next mayor needs to go ahead and make sure we have safer streets and more police officers. The next mayor needs to make sure that there are more jobs and better paying jobs for everybody in the city. The next mayor needs to make sure there is more affordable housing for everybody in the city. The next mayor needs to make sure that our electricity and our water is affordable and reliable. The next mayor needs to take another look at city government, back to the basics, to make sure it works for all of us. That's what the next mayor needs to be focusing on. That's what I will focus on as your next mayor.
I'm proud. I'm proud of my service to the United States Air Force and the United States and protecting this Constitution. I'm proud of my service to this country with the company that I worked for 13 years. I'm proud of my 6 years on City Council. I've made mistakes in my life. I'm not perfect. There's only been one perfect person in this world, and I'm not that person. But I'm proud of my accomplishments, what I've done. But you know what I'm most proud of? And I don't say this a lot. When I got here to San Antonio in '91, I was newly divorced, and I had 3 little elementary age children. My ex stayed in Germany when I came here. I was able to raise them, get them all the way through college. They're all successful, and I got 5 little grandkids now. That's what I'm most proud of, and that's what I want to help San Antonio, be a leader with that experience and common sense. Thank you.
This is, I think, our 10th debate. I've heard all the closing arguments before, and I had one planned for you. It's this, we all deliver the same closing arguments every time, and you just heard what I've heard 9 times. And I don't want to talk about my campaign. I really don't. You guys know who we are, okay? Here's what I want to talk about. I just heard something so astonishing that it needs to be called out. No, Beto. We need to pick a fight every single day with this president. We need to pick a fight. Hey, when you were capitulating, I didn't interrupt you, okay? So don't interrupt me, okay? We need to pick a fight every single day. This president picks a fight with us every single day. Linda, when you were fighting for civil rights and labor rights, did somebody ever tell you, oh, yo, not every day, okay, Linda? Did Jaime Martinez at the Cesar Chavez Foundation, did he ever rest? Never. Did Rosa Rosales, Gabe, your mother, what would she have said if somebody said, oh yeah, not every single day, let's get along some days? That's not San Antonio, guys. What is at risk is our soul, our character, our families.
Next.
Vote J in May.
Hey, look, guys. It's a lot of people running, and I have nothing to say about them, but I tell you this.
No, it's your time.
It's your time.
It's your time.
Jay, I want to see you at the courthouse down there by Alamos Sunday at 1 p.m. and help the federal employees fight for their jobs.
I'll be there, but I just want to close with this. I didn't come here for you to cheer. Uneducated. They just pushed me around today, but it's okay. I'm still going to win. Uneducated enthusiasm is not what we're here for. Emotions is not a business strategy. What you need is solid leadership. Somebody who knows how to lead people and somebody who knows how to bring people together. I represent the haves and the have-nots, and I've proven that. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. And God bless San Antonio.
Okay, next.
Again, I'm Adriana Rocha Garcia. I'm number 11 on the ballot. I'm a single mom, and I am an only daughter. I have worked hard all my life. I've had 2 jobs all of the time. I still work hard for my community. I do everything in between, and at the end of the day, I still come home to get my blessing. There's 2 neighbors back there. I did not know they were here, but Güero and Mr. Alvarez, thank you so much. They sometimes bring my dad back because he has Alzheimer's. That's the type of job that I'm applying for. It's a hard job. It's a job that is not an 8-to-5 job. It's a job that you're gonna stay out for, you're gonna have sleepless nights for, and I'm willing to do that for you because it's gonna take me an entire lifetime to pay back to my community what you all have done for me. So thank you for being engaged voters, thank you for being active, and also, prende la vela y adelante con Adriana.
Very good. Let me take this opportunity to thank each of the candidates that are here. And I think one of you said it, whoever gets elected, they cannot do it on their own. They need all the help, so keep that in mind. It's everyone's responsibility. Let's give all the candidates that are here a big hand. So don't leave. Before you leave, I want to ask Sonia de la Garza Walker to come forward. And I want to just leave you with a quote from Martin Luther King that echoes from the Bible. And it says, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Sonia de la Garza Walker, and I'm from LULAC 4290. First of all, I want to ask all the LULACers, every council, please stay for a picture together. All the LULACers. And another thing, yes, all candidates, please behind us, right here. All LULAC. Ciro Villarreal. Sorry, Ciro Villarreal. I want to give you this medal of honor for being such a great moderator.